On behalf of Firehouse Ministries, I would like to thank you for your interest in volunteering. Volunteers play a vital role in helping us break the cycle of homelessness and empower individuals to achieve their highest potential. In this training video, we will use scenarios to discuss some of the different decisions you might be faced with while volunteering at Firehouse Ministries. While not all scenarios will be covered, we will discuss how to identify the safest and most efficient option in several situations. For example, you hear a guest talking about a plan to harm themselves or someone else. What should you do? It's okay if you're unsure of the correct answer. We're going to come back to this scenario at the end of this training and see if you feel more confident which option is the safest and most efficient. The first portion of this video is how you can choose the safest option when presented a challenging scenario. We take safety seriously for both our guests and volunteers. In this section, we are going to cover confidentiality and getting help. Part of keeping our guests safe is keeping their information safe. Federal law requires Firehouse Ministries to ensure the confidentiality of all current and former guests. Guests may reveal personal information to you while volunteering. It is required that you keep all that information confidential. It may be tempting to tell someone else about your experience volunteering, and we highly encourage it, but we like to put it this way. Talk about what you did, not who you did it for. Let's check for understanding. Which of the following should not be shared about guests at Firehouse Ministries? The answer is all of the above. It is required that you keep all information you might obtain while volunteering confidential, including their identity and the fact that they are receiving services at Firehouse Ministries. We also want our volunteers to be safe. At any time you need help or assistance, our staff is ready to help. Let's explore who can provide assistance, where you can find them, and when you should reach out for assistance. Pictured below are some of the staff that you might see around Firehouse Ministries shelter. If you see one of these smiling faces, feel free to ask them for assistance. The shelter staff, pictured on the right, are your first line of help as they assist Rob with dealing with both guests and volunteers. Administrative staff, pictured on the left, are upstairs during normal office hours and offer assistance if shelter staff are unavailable. Typically, you will find a staff member wearing a Firehouse Ministries shirt, though this is not the best way to identify staff members. Anyone can be seen wearing Firehouse Ministries apparel, but only staff members wear a staff lanyard or a staff name badge. Let's check for understanding. True or false? Anyone wearing Firehouse apparel is a staff member. The correct answer is false. Anyone can wear Firehouse Ministries apparel, but only staff wear a staff lanyard or a staff name badge. While staff members could be performing tasks in various places, staff offices are a great place to start when looking for help. Pictured on the left is a map of the Firehouse Ministries shelter. Downstairs on the first floor, you will find the entrance, dining room, pantry, and kitchen. If you need assistance, look for a staff member in one of the 2 staff office locations downstairs. If you are still unable to find a staff member, go upstairs and knock on the door to see an administrative staff member. Let's check for understanding. True or false? Staff can be best reached by checking the downstairs office locations and then upstairs if no one is found downstairs. This statement is true. Now that you know who can be contacted for assistance and where they can be found, when should you seek help? The answer is anytime you need help. If a guest prompts you to do something you're unsure of, or maybe you're uncomfortable, contact a staff member. Here are 2 examples of when you should contact a staff member for help. A guest talks to another volunteer about plans of hurting themselves or others, or if any situation is escalating quickly. In both these scenarios, don't be a counselor, get a staff member and alert them of the issue at hand. We have a great staff that are trained in handling these scenarios for you. Let's check for understanding. A guest at Firehouse Ministries is causing a scene that is escalating. What should you do? The correct answer is locate a staff member and inform them of the situation. Our staff are trained to de-escalate situations. Let's sum up the safety portion of this training with a scenario. A guest at Firehouse Ministries asks you to help them with something behind the shelter building. What should you do? The correct answer is number 3. It is unsafe to go off alone with a guest. It is also important to get a staff member in situations where help is needed. Now that you know the safest methods of providing volunteer services, this next section will be about the most efficient method. Your partnership with Firehouse Ministries' values and mission statement is what makes our goals reachable. We are going to discuss how you can align with our values, have healthy boundaries, and follow a few guidelines. Listed here are the core values of Firehouse Ministries. While we appreciate every task completed, you can be more than just a prepared meal or task. You can care for our guests and treat them with respect and dignity. One way to help you do this is to have a we mentality and not think or treat of our guests as an us versus them mentality. We are all here to treat each other with respect and dignity. Let's check for understanding. Which of the following actions align with Firehouse Ministries' values? The correct answer is to have a we mentality and not treat them as an us versus them. While we encourage volunteers to connect with our guests and care for them, we do want to remind you to set healthy boundaries. We encourage you to set boundaries that are sustainable, healthy, and professional. This helps you and future volunteers so that guests do not set lofty expectations on what volunteers are supposed to do. For example, a guest may ask you to give them a little cash or let them borrow your phone. While you may be okay with that, this will become an expectation that every guest could use your phone and get cash when the next volunteer walks through the door. For this reason, volunteers are prohibited from giving money directly to guests, giving rides to guests, and making or receiving personal phone calls with guests. When a guest prompts you to do something you are uncomfortable with, you may not know what to say. You may say something like, "Let me check on that." But guests may interpret that as, "I will get that for you," and hold you to it as if you promised. Instead, consider being kind but truthful and say something like, "I am sorry, I can't do that. Do you want me to get a staff member to help you?" Or you can just say, "I will tell a staff member about that." Let's check for understanding. Which of the following is a good example of a healthy boundary? The correct answer is to connect with the guests in a way that is sustainable, healthy, and professional. In order to be efficient in volunteering, we ask that you follow a few guidelines. First, please show up for the time you signed up to serve. Your role is important. Wear clothing that is appropriate for volunteering in a men's homeless shelter. Jeans, t-shirt, and tennis shoes should be fine. Do not enforce any discipline on our guests. Instead, refer to staff. Do not misuse, waste, or remove Firehouse Ministries property or donations. And finally, grab a staff member to receive donations. Let's explore another scenario. A woman arrives to drop off some donations of food and clothes for the shelter. What should you do? The correct answer is to grab a staff member who can record the donation in their logs and grab the correct people to help collect the donations. If the woman wants to come inside, advise her to lock her car doors. To sum up this portion on choosing the most efficient option, let's consider the following scenario. A guest at Firehouse Ministries shows up and desires a shower, even though showers aren't offered until the evening. What should you do? The most efficient option is to inform a staff member so that they can either reinforce the rules of when showers are provided or decide to make an exception to the rule and let that person grab a quick shower. It is best that a staff member makes this decision, not volunteers. At last, let's bring up the final scenario from the beginning of this training. What is the safest and most efficient option if you hear a guest talking about or planning to harm themselves or someone else? The correct answer is to immediately inform a staff member. We want to ensure the safety and well-being of our guests and need to know promptly if you hear of a plan to do harm. Congratulations! You have finished the Firehouse Ministries training video. We want to thank you for partnering with us at Firehouse Ministries to end the cycle of homelessness and empower each guest to reach their highest potential. Now that you have finished this video, click the link below this video to access the confidentiality agreement. Once you have read through this information, fill out the sections for your name, email, and agreement, and you are all set to volunteer at Firehouse Ministries. Thanks, and see you soon.